Chappie is real.
Welcome to another movie plot. Enjoy the memories and watch out for spoilers. Set in the very near future, the high crime rate in the city of Johannesburg has forced it to welcome Earth's first robotic police force. Initially looking at using weapons designer Vincent's human-controlled moose, the government found it too clunky and expensive, so they went with his rival within the company. Wilson's created the first self-automated armor-plated attack droids, with a guard system that allows only them at Tetraval to install upgrades, to prevent hacking of course. Though his real dream's to take the next evolutionary step forward, and build AI that can think and feel. Droid number 22's brought back to the shop damaged and is described by his technician as cursed. He's always needing parts and has his antenna replaced with a mismatch before being put back into action. 22's tasked with aiding a unit in capturing a group of street hustlers after their deal turned sour. The gang consists of Ninja and his partner in crime Yolandi, as well as their longtime loyal friend Amerika. They work for the crime boss Hippo, who they try to deliver what remains of the goods to, but he's not happy and kills their fourth member, who we only see briefly. Suddenly 22 shows up and all hell breaks loose, due to Hippo having dozens of heavily armed men defending his compound. Human officers join the droids and use them primarily for shields while being more of a burden than anything. One of Hippo's men takes Ninja's keys but luckily gets blown up by a droid, allowing the school bus yellow gun gangster to retrieve his matching M4 keychain. The three manage to escape the raid, with only Amerika taking a bullet to the arm in the process. Hippo lays in wait with an RPG, and by sheer dumb luck it's 22 that takes a rocket to the chest, sending him through a wall and shutting his systems down once again. With the fearful humans retreating and the other droids still incoming, Hippo manages to escape the scene as well. Once the gang get back to their hideout, he calls Ninja with a warning that he still expects to be paid for the loss of product. As Amerika recovers, Yolandi comes up with the idea that they should find the robotics engineer and force him to turn off the droids. Due to the droids' overwhelming success, the police order another 100 to be commissioned, which makes Vincent even more envious of Wilson's success. The head of the company, Mrs. Bradley, gives him a pity call but refuses to give him any more funding for the moose. That night, while working on his artificial intelligence off the books, Wilson manages to stabilize a program that will endow the droid with consciousness. Needing a specimen to test it on, he rushes back to the office to find 22 back on the factory floor. This time the mechanic says that the bullet magnet's seen his final days, as Hippo's blasts caused his battery to fuse with his chest piece, resulting in a write-off. Wilson asks Bradley for her permission to test the program, but at the mention of 22 conceivably writing poetry, she laughs at him. She's happy with what they're already producing and isn't willing to go through all the red tape for anything new. After some time mulling things over, Wilson decides to disobey orders and steals 22 the upgrade key and smuggles them both out of the factory. At the same time, the gang's waiting outside the compound and pull a quick kidnapping of the lead programmer. They take him back to their hideout and demand he shut the robots down so they can return to having fun. At the threat of cutting off his feet, Wilson explains that it's impossible, as a lock in the firmware means that they always remain on. Amerika's discovered 22 in the back of the van, and they come up with the plan to have Wilson reprogram him to work for them. Since they're unhackable, the terrified hostage gives them the only other option, of installing his AI program and teaching it as you would a child. Wilson spends the day reassembling the half-decommissioned droid but says that due to the damage his battery will only last 5 days. Once complete, he turns on the unit and 22 comes to life with the cognitive abilities of a young child. He's terrified of the new surroundings, and Yolandi's the only one of the gang that shows him any kindness. He quickly picks up the language, and due to his joyful nature she calls him a happy Chappie, which becomes his name. Now with his state-of-the-art attack droid, Ninja throws Wilson out, only letting him live so that he may return to service his creation. The next morning, the Sentient droid's snooping around the safe house and discovers his love for early morning cartoons. Ninja's the first to wake up and instantly puts the child to work teaching him how to fire a gun, which he's terrified of and just ends up putting a hole in the heavy bag. Yolandi scolds Ninja for moving so quickly and tells him that Chappie must first get orientated. She takes it upon herself to be Chappie's mother figure and teaches him all the basics, as well as the meaning behind the book Black Sheep, that it doesn't matter how you look and only your actions matter. Having had plenty of experience with it, Amerika teaches Chappie how to act like a thug, which the droid happily participates in, unaware that his whole purpose is to pay back Hippo.
I'll just keep God, yeah.
Meanwhile, Vincent attempts to enact his evil scheme of shutting down the droids but discovers the guard key missing. He locates it still inside Chappie and questions Wilson on Unit 22's whereabouts. The former soldier begins to get aggressive and slams his head into the desk, then pulls his gun to demand the key, having gone completely mad with his failures.
The prank.
Coming to his senses, Vincent plays it off to the rest of the room as just a prank and returns to his desk. At the end of the day, Wilson takes off but is followed by Vincent, who hopes to locate 22. Wilson gets to the clubhouse but finds Chappie's developed a foul mouth, having picked up a few bad habits from Amerika. He tells Chappie to have respect for his creator and makes him promise not to do anything illegal, after first teaching him what a promise is. He shows Chappie how to paint where he depicts an old wreck as a printer would, and tells him not to let anyone take away his potential to be whatever he wants in life. Vincent's spying on Chappie from nearby and realizes he's going to need some backup to retrieve the key. He leaves just before Ninja gets back, who finds his killing machine painting and is about to kill Wilson because of it, but Yolandi protects him. As Wilson leaves, he shouts that the AI is already smarter than Ninja and reminds Chappie to nurture his creativity. Had enough of taking it slow, Ninja and Amerika drive Chappie to a rough neighborhood and leave him to find his way home. The locals start to attack the police droid and set him on fire, but the terrified Chappie keeps his promise to Wilson and runs away without harming anyone. He takes refuge on a hill overlooking the city and has his first interaction with a real dog. Nearby, Vincent's tracked Unit 22's location and shows up at the hill with 2 heavily armed agents. With an EMP launcher, the disgruntled employee discombobulates Chappie, who wakes up minutes later inside their truck having his arm sawn off with an angle grinder. Vincent manages to recover the guard key from Chappie's head, but before he can finish dismembering him, the droid fights his way out the back of the truck so is let go as they've already got what they came for. Chappie staggers back home where he's calling Yolandi mommy and telling her about the mean man in the van. Amerika finds some spare parts and attaches an orange arm to go with his orange ear, telling him that he's indestructible, which he likes the sound of. That night he learns that one day everyone will die and their souls move on to the next place, which leaves him pondering life. The next day Chappie's making a doll of Yolandi when Ninja apologizes for what he did. He then begins teaching Chappie to defend himself and that to be a gangster you have to act like it. Amerika tells Chappie that when he stabs someone they just go to sleep, which almost gets both of them killed when he takes it literally. After giving the droid a makeover with tattoos and bling, the 2 boys take him to the suburbs together, planning to steal cars. Ninja finds a way around Wilson's rules by telling Chappie that the people they're robbing have stolen Daddy's cars. Having his first taste of anger, Chappie gets so mad at hearing this that he goes over and begins smashing the car up and attacks the driver. He snaps out of it and flees back to the van where they attempt it again and this time get it right. Chappie gets so enamored that he begins stealing people's cars without even being asked and making Daddy proud. Afterwards they go to a tower to purchase weapons from an arms dealer in hopes of pulling off a larger heist, but the locals scatter at the sight of a police droid. They trade the cars to Crime Lord King for explosives and PS4s, but on their way out notice Chappie taking pity on a dead dog. Ninja teaches him the hard lesson that in life you can either end up the dead dog or the one that won the fight. Chappie mentions that he's indestructible but has it brought to his attention that once his battery runs out he dies. Using this knowledge and Chappie's need to survive, Ninja convinces the kind-hearted robot to help them with a heist as it'll afford a new body for him. Afterwards they get back to the hideout to find Wilson waiting with Yolandi. He's come to teach Chappie some more, but he's angry that his creator didn't tell him that he's going to die. Only ever wanting to use Unit 22 as a test, Wilson says he never could have predicted what Chappie would become. Now with his hands on the guard key, Vincent uses it to shut down all of the police droids in the city in hopes of getting the moose deployed. Because of this, Hippo gets wind of the malfunction and orders his boys to begin taking over the city. Riots break out as Vincent manages to shut down every single automated officer, turning them into scrap piles for the revolting civilians. The shutdown also affects Chappie, who's taken away by Wilson at gunpoint, who purchased it earlier hoping it wouldn't come to this. He takes him to the lab where Vincent's in the middle of destroying the program to reactivate the droids permanently. The traitor hides while Wilson gets Chappie operational again, but when attempting to leave, Chappie's distracted by the armored core and the neural helmet used to control it. It gives Chappie the idea to transfer his consciousness into another droid's body, which he argues with Wilson about. The human says that it's not possible, but Chappie throws his own words back at him to never let anyone tell you can't do something. He steals the helmet and runs back to his parents, leaving Vincent terrified and praying to God, having heard their whole conversation. His attempt to destroy the droid's programming fails, but Vincent still manages to walk right out of the facility without anyone suspecting the senior engineer. Once he gets back home, Chappie rigs up the helmet to the stack of PlayStations and has Yolandi put it on her head. He explains that consciousness is energy, and with the internet he's able to use humans' collective knowledge to find a way to transfer it. After a few tests he manages to get it working and uploads a copy of himself onto the computer. All he needs now is a body, and Ninja's heist the perfect way to get the money to afford it. The gang suit up for the robbery and do a slow-motion walkout, which takes longer than the heist, as we quickly cut to them using the explosives to blow the doors off an armored truck. During the robbery, Chappie throws a shuriken into a guard, then apologizes to the bleeding man as he thought it would just make him sleepy like Amerika said. Wilson gets to the office and struggles alongside everyone else to get the droids operational. He discovers the terminal used to deactivate them was Vincent's and confronts him on it, but gets cut off by a story about his product conducting an armed robbery in the middle of the freeway. Vowing to pick up where they left off, Wilson steals weapons and takes off in search of Chappie to protect him, which allows Vincent to finally get the go-ahead from Bradley to deploy the moose. On their way back to the hideout, Ninja admits to Chappie that they don't have access to another droid. This makes Chappie mad, who sees this as the second father that's lied to him, and throws him out of the van when they get back home. Wilson meets the gang with an advanced rifle and some grenades and says that something dangerous is on its way, as Vincent takes control of the moose himself with a license to kill. Just then Hippo and his crew show up, having seen Chappie on the news and wanting him for themselves. Ninja's fed up with his constant demands and opens fire on him and his crew, when Vincent lands behind a prone Amerika in all his armored core glory. With a maniacal laugh, he steps on the Yankee and throws his upper half across the war zone. The moose leaps into the air and deploys a cluster bomb which rips through Hippo's entire gang, except for the leader, who hides away in a pipe. When Vincent's about to kill Wilson, his creation steps out armed with the Tetraval advanced weapon and leaps at the machine, stabbing an explosive into it. He doesn't activate it in time, and a single burst from the heavy weapon's able to cause Chappie to drop the detonator. Vincent's about to kill Ninja when Hippo steps out and involuntarily saves him by firing at his gang's killer. Chappie's able to get his mom to safety by breaking a hole through the side of the building when Hippo attacks Wilson. Ninja puts his life on the line to save him, but is shot in the leg as Wilson's mortally shot in the back. Now, with no other choice but to transfer his creator's consciousness into a droid, Chappie takes the neural helmet and attempts to escape from Vincent in the van. After bludgeoning Hippo to death, Ninja decides to sacrifice himself to give the others a chance to escape. He drops to his knees in front of the mech, knowing that Vincent will waste time killing him. As he's about to be ripped in half, Yolandi returns for her man and fires on the moose, doing nothing to it and getting herself shot and killed in her attempt. She does save Ninja though, as Chappie's able to locate the detonator and finally destroys the mech.
You hurt my peoples! Why?
With the first thing on his mind being revenge, Chappie speeds down the freeway with a dying Wilson to confront his mother's killer. He walks into Tetraval and chases Vincent into the offices, where he throws him through every wall and ceiling until he's left a bloody mess. By now Wilson's almost dead, so Chappie places him in the helmet and makes the transfer, killing the body and saving the mind. The human wakes up an immortal and doesn't need orientating, as it feels just like normal, then uses the nearest fallen droid to also transfer Chappie. When security arrives, Wilson escapes the facility and finds the new droid containing Chappie's consciousness just outside, before fleeing together back to the safe house. Meanwhile, Ninja's burning Yolandi's possessions and comes across her consciousness saved on a thumb drive from when they were testing the helmet. After they hold a funeral for the original recipe, Chappie's able to hack into Tetraval and create a body specifically for Yolandi to transfer her soul inside. And the movie ends.
Now, I forgive you, Batman.
So you made it. I appreciate your time. I couldn't have done it without you. Tell your mother I said thanks.